Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly, VC Chair. Back to do a quick video, a response to Robert's video that he just put up, a thread that he just did, Robert Z. Really kind of one quick simple question. He was asking what are some of the great tracks that you can't really stand to listen to anymore. You know, things maybe that were really big for you at some point in time, and you know, it's hard for you to put them on the stereo anymore. And it's funny you brought that up, because actually that was a thread question I was thinking about doing. Actually, I was thinking about posting it today, so I saw that. I was like, oh, okay, Robert already took care of it, so good deal. Playing in the background before I get started is this nice little piece right here. Love this song, boy. Inside and Out by Feist. The name of the album is Let It Die. I think Inside Out is actually a cover of old Bee Gees song, but man, that's just some good stuff, boy. Good stuff. I first discovered it on Nip Tuck, actually. I don't know if any of you watched that show, if you remember that scene. It was a good one. But anyway, let me jump on to Robert's thread. Pulled out a couple things here, and that's one thing. Is kind of, I knew it'd be a hard question for me, because I knew there would not be a lot at all, because most music that I buy, listen to, like at some point in time, it doesn't really fade for me. You know, sure, I may listen to something a lot and then listen to it less down the line and that type of thing. But for the most part, my love for most things that I've loved at some point doesn't really change. And that's why my collection is kind of like the way it is. And that's why I still have cassettes from when I was in grade school. You know, it's because I never lost the love for that stuff. So I was always listening to the cassette, wanting to keep it, wanting to have it around. And that's why you get like this. But matter of fact, I know, like, for example, with the exception of 2, I have every single CD that I've ever got. Well, I guess with the ones I sold when I went through my whole, you know, I don't collect CDs anymore stage. But as far as just, you know, losing them or them getting lost or forgetting about, you know, that type of thing, I have, like, everything. So, or everything I've always had. So, yeah, things just don't get that old for me. I'll always come back to it at some point. But there are 2 that I pulled out that are songs. One is kind of the album, but really more so songs that I just cannot stand to have come on in my iTunes rotation, in my, you know, just I won't pull it off the shelf to listen to it. I mean, pretty much you could scratch these songs off of the albums and it wouldn't bother me whatsoever. Okay, and actually that's really the last 2 that fit that description. The first 3 I'm going to show are more so songs that I remember being just like so up here, and just like the most incredible thing in the world for me, and now it's just kind of like, if you did remove them from the album, it wouldn't necessarily bother me. So I don't really hate these songs, it's just they don't really mean much to me anymore, and I would be very surprised if I caught myself ever listening to them again. So the first one here is off of this album, not the album, but the song. You know, you gotta fight for your right to party. Ugh, I cannot stand that song. It's I guess technically it's called Fight for Your Right. Is that Fight for Your Right or Fight for Your Right to Party? It's been so long, I can't remember the exact title. Fight for Your Right. Yeah, that's what it is. And again, when that song first came out, it was very, you know, anthem-ish. I remember, you know, just my friends and everything. It was just the thing we played and jammed to all the time. And I could not sit back and listen to that from start to finish now if my life depended on it. Now, of course, there's a bunch of other stuff on this album that I do and can. But just that one particular song, incredible for what it was. Absolute classic. But, yeah, I cannot listen to that song anymore whatsoever. Another one here too, and again, I don't know if I would say this is one I can't listen to. It's one that I know I regularly skip over whenever it pops up in rotation. But I just recall just how incredible a song I thought it was when it first came out. And it is off of Crowded House's album. What was the name of this album again? I think it was just self-titled, actually. But the song Don't Dream It's Over, I mean, I thought that was just one of the most beautiful songs ever, and used to listen to it all the time. And I have not pulled this off of the shelf in a long, long time. And I don't quite catch the same level of the beauty of it that I heard back when it first came out. I mean, still a classic song, of course, but that's definitely one that I do not listen to that much anymore. And again, nothing to do with not liking, but just it fell quite a few steps from where it used to be in my musical life. The next one here, which I'm sure is one that probably a lot of people would also jump on board with, of course, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Again, I think one of the greatest songs of all time, but at the same time, can I sit down and listen to it from start to finish? It'd be a bit of a challenge. I probably could with that one, but again, it's one that's just been spun so many times in my head. You know, it's definitely one of those tough ones there. And one more that came to mind was off of this album, which is the song Without You. Again, when that first came off, I thought it was incredible, and now I just don't think I can listen to it from start to finish. Now, this album as a whole, totally different story. I mean, there's awesome songs on this I listen to all the time, but yeah, With or Without You is one that I just cannot get with anymore. And there's one more I want to pull out too, which I totally forgot. Hold on one second. Let's see. Right over here. Give me just one second, guys. Alright, sorry about that. I meant to pull this one out because Derek talked about it, and I thought it was a perfect example of that too. And it's off of this album here, which is Seal, and it's the song Kiss from a Rose. I mean, yeah, that's a song that I thought was kind of cool, you know, when it first came out and all that good stuff. You know, even back then I wasn't like, oh, but, you know, it was a cool song and everything else. And there's no way I can listen to that song from start to finish now. I can't, honestly, I can't stand it. I think it's one of his worst, not worst pieces, it's just one I like the least, I'll put it that way. But again, I'm not talking about the album, I'm talking about that song, because this album is freaking killer. Oh my goodness. And not killer, pardon the pun, but you know, songs like Bring It On, Prayer for the Dying, Dreaming in Metaphor, Fast Changes. I mean, there are some great songs on this album. Seal is one of the most incredible artists ever. His creativity and everything is just off the charts. The way he brings so much emotion out of his music, it's just incredible. And I love telling that story. I think I typed Derek a message about this when he was talking about Seal. I remember the first time I saw him back in high school. It was the video for Crazy. And I remember sitting there watching that thing going, he looks like an idiot. This is the dumbest sounding song I've ever heard in my life. Just like nothing about this makes sense. And I remember just, I think one of my brothers was in the room at the time. I just remember just slamming it, just talking about how dumb it was. And now to this day, I'm just like, you're a genius. You know, you're incredible. And I've always said I just wasn't mature enough to get it back then. But anyway, I'm getting way off track. Kiss from a Rose, Derek, I totally agree with you on that. Cannot stand that song, will never listen to it again, but I cannot tell you how many times I've spun that CD. I just skip over that one track. Now let's get to the two songs that I truly, truly hate. And it would surprise me if I ever in the rest of my life play these songs from front to back. The Beatles, Can't Buy Me Love. Oh, I cannot stand that song. I mean, of course, like most people, I think, you know, there's kind of a bit of a liking that comes with it when you first heard it, but, you know, between the Beatles' White Album and that song, those are two things I could do without for the rest of my life. I'm sorry. But yeah, Can't Buy Me Love, I can't stand that. Cannot stand that song. Will never listen to it again. And the number one, I think this is really the one, because there's a lot of, besides the Beatles, there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't really fit, I think, where Robert was going in terms of just really hating, never listen to again. But this is the one album that really, you know, I think personifies what the point he was trying to get to. And I'm sure it's going to be the pick by many of you. Led Zeppelin 4. Oh my gosh. I think this album was such a pure hard rock classic that it got so beat in our heads that most of our brains just cannot take any more Zeppelin. I mean, especially Led Zeppelin 4. And of course, the song I'm going to say is Stairway to Heaven. You know, I mean, I was completely taken into a trance by that song when I first heard it back in junior high or high school, whenever it was. I think it was junior high. And I would listen to it over and over and over again. And I would, you know, grab the tennis racket and do Page's guitar solos at the end. I mean, it was the song of all songs. But man, I swear right now, if you try to put Stairway to Heaven on and make me listen to it from front to back, there's going to be some furniture moving in that room, boy, because I mean, it's just going to get ugly in there. And it's so funny too, because I was driving in my car maybe a couple of months ago, maybe, and it came on in rotation in my iPod, and I thought, you know, okay, here, let me try. Could not even get out of the first chorus. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot listen to this. So yeah, I mean, Led Zeppelin 4, really the album as a whole, but especially Stairway to Heaven. That's just something I would be very, very shocked if I ever sat down for the rest of my life and listened to that song from front to back. And again, as I mentioned in a comment, I think on Rob's video, if you sat down and asked me to make a list of the top 10 best songs of all time, Stairway to Heaven is going to be in there. You know, someone did a thread question a while ago that said, you know, are there any songs that you wish you would have wrote? I think I named the top 5 songs or top 3 songs you wish you would have actually written, and Stairway to Heaven was one of them. So I still hold it up on a pedestal. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is one of the mother of all classic and hard rock songs of all time. I just don't want to hear it anymore. So that's this is probably the one that really fits what the question was. The others were kind of, you know, I could go this way, that way, blah blah blah. But yeah, the Beatles and that Zeppelin, done. So anyway, there you go, Rob. Thanks for doing the question. You saved me the trouble of having to put out the thread. And as always, let me know what you guys think. All right, take care, VC. Oh, I do want to mention too. Actually, I'll do another video. Never mind. All right, you guys take care.